Hi there. Wanted to cover a little bit of the Pittsburgh Penguin versus Nashville Predators series. I've not made a video about hockey in nearly 2 weeks. This just circumstantial. I've been at work mostly. I missed the first two games. I have watched the highlights both on the television and on YouTube. So I got a somewhat of a grasp of how the series is going. There are times where Nashville does look like the better team. It's not gone their way so far. But as I was preoccupied, I would periodically check my my NHL app to see how the game was going. So in a way, it kind of takes away the excitement. So I mean, sure, I could have PVR'd those games and watched them when I got back home, which was late at night, by the way. But I didn't because I wanted to know right then and there how the games were going. And the problem with doing that is it takes a lot of the excitement out of watching what's basically a rerun if you've PVR'd it, even if you haven't seen it before, because you already know what the end result is. Now, getting to the actual games itself, in both games the Nashville Predators have outshot the Pittsburgh Penguins. In fact, I forget how many shots Pittsburgh had in the first game, but it was abysmal. But they made him count. A lot of people say, "Oh, Pecorine, he ain't been doing too well," and it's kind of true. Pittsburgh has been has had better goaltending. Pecorine is getting kind of old, unfortunately, and I am afraid that this is Nashville's. It's the chance of this team's winning a Stanley Cup, because Nashville won't get to this position again, especially if they don't win, for many more years. I highly doubt we will see them in next year's Stanley Cup final. They'll be like San Jose, the bright new team, first time in the Stanley Cup final. And I mentioned that. I said, look, if Nashville gets that far, they could just end up being another, head on the mantelpiece for a team like Pittsburgh. I must admit, if I were just a Pittsburgh fan, that would be pretty exciting, going to the DVD collection and going, oh, this year we defeated Nashville, that year we defeated Detroit, that year we defeated San Jose, and so on and so forth. The Detroit Red Wings have won the Stanley Cup a lot of times. They have similar experiences. In recent years, Chicago has won against very formidable teams. LA, definitely memorable series on their resume of recent years. It is my personal opinion that PK Subban is correct in saying that they're going to win tonight. I do think they're going to win. Today I have the day off, so I will watch the game. I'm not convinced it's going to go to Game 7 though, and it really needs to for Nashville to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, it would be a fairy tale ending if Nashville beat Pittsburgh, but I just don't see it. However, a lot of the people I've been talking to are on, not necessarily the Predators bandwagon, but the anti-Pittsburgh Penguins stance. They just don't want to see Pittsburgh win, and I don't blame them, really. As I said before, I don't actually have anything against Sidney Crosby in particular. I ran into a Philadelphia Flyers fan on the train, and he automatically hated the Pittsburgh Penguins. I reckon a lot of Philadelphia Flyer fans do, for various reasons. Although he mentioned that he didn't hate Sidney Crosby and he respected him. Yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. There's some things about Crosby I don't like, and some things, I don't mind. One of the things about Sidney Crosby that I don't particularly like is his stardom at being supposedly the best hockey player in all the world. It has been said by many different people at many different times that yes, he is the best hockey player in the world, and I don't agree with that at all. I'm not saying he's not talented, I'm not saying he's not fit, I'm not saying he's not got a lot of good years left in him. Maybe even more Stanley Cups in the future for him. Entirely possible. Even if he didn't win another one, his career is already a success. But I made the argument on one of the forums I was on that there are 100, if not more, hockey players in various leagues around the world, the Finnish league, the Swedish league, the Russian league, all the minor leagues in North America, who have players who are, if not better, at least as good as Sidney Crosby. A lot of people didn't like that argument. A lot of people went, oh, why don't you name them, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's not quite how it works. And the people who were going, oh, why don't you name them? I honestly didn't believe they had, a full understanding of what exactly goes on in the minor leagues. I mean, I admit I don't actively pursue looking into what happens in the Swedish league or the Russian league. I'm sure you could, dig up some information, but to actually watch a significant amount of footage about players in these leagues, it ain't gonna happen. You gotta like go to Russia or go to Sweden, and then maybe you'll see it. Like, there's not even that much footage really of AHL teams in North America. So these idiots going, oh, well, why don't you name 50 players that are better than Sidney Crosby? Fuck off. You're a stupid asshole. These players cannot ever become as successful as Sidney Crosby because they don't have the money to back them up. So Sidney Crosby has gained his popularity and his various position in the NHL based on the money that backed him up. It's the truth of the matter. A lot of people don't want to accept about hockey. They want to go, no, it's purely about sports, purely about this. But it's not true. Sidney Crosby, talented hockey player, like I said, but there are many players who have trained just as hard as him, ate all the right food, have good genetics, love the sport, and will never become what Sidney Crosby has. And I dare say there are many players that are better than Sidney Crosby. And there are also people who don't want to accept that there are these phenomenal hockey players that not only don't make the NHL because the NHL doesn't want them, but they don't actually want to go to the NHL. I mean, here in a tiny little world of hockey in North America, you think that the NHL is the premier, perfect place to play hockey, and in a way it is. It's well recognized in the hockey community, that particularly in Canada, it is a well celebrated sport. But just because they say it's the biggest, most important hockey league in the world, doesn't actually make it true. When the stakes are put on the line, there are other leagues when games are way more important, way more emotionally charged, and there's just more at stake than there is in an NHL game. I am a hockey fan, but I am a firm believer that the National Hockey League is fake, and it has always been fake. Another argument on the forums was people naming off these great hockey players. The usual suspects were on there. Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe, Jaromir Jagr. They're the names that are typically brought up when people think of good hockey players throughout history. I don't think they're that good, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of Mario Lemieux's goals. I've seen a few of Gordie Howe's goals, and they were terrible. The goalies and the defensemen were completely incompetent, and they were told to do so. It was very clear that when Gordie Howe shot a puck at the net, he was going to score a goal. And if that meant some backdoor deal before the game happened, where if he takes a shot on the net, the goalie has to let it in, then that's exactly what happened. It's my honest opinion that Gordie Howe was a mobster, a gangster before he was a hockey player. Gangster first, hockey player second. Now that's a widely unpopular opinion. I was called so many names for mentioning that, but I think you can be a diehard fan, and it shouldn't be Latin for being pig fucking ignorant. And that brings me to another point. A lot of people saw me in my Nashville Predators jersey and they went, "Oh, you bandwagon jumper, blah blah blah." I had the Nashville jersey for over a year. It has PK Subban on the back, so you'll get the idiot going, PK hasn't been on the team that long. Well, hey stupid, you don't know it all. I did buy the jersey a year ago. I only had Subban put on it about 6 months ago. If you had been following any of my social media activities, you would know I did have that jersey a year ago, and I put PK Subban on it about 6 months ago. I forget, it's in my video uploads. You can go watch it if you want. It's not actually much of a video, but whatever. I really want Nashville to win this series, but I knew they were the underdogs going into this. I knew they were the flashy, bright new face in the Stanley Cup final, and I knew that was a disadvantage. Some people are saying that the league is favoring the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they are a little bit. PK's goal at the beginning of the series, I don't know, man, a bit questionable, but this sort of thing happens. There have been goalies throughout history that have intentionally let in bad goals. That's another unpopular opinion, but it's the truth. And I think Peke, not all the goals he's let in, but a couple of them in particular in Game 2 were highly suspect. He let one where he was hugged against the post and it went under his glove. That was the first goal in Game 2. And if I were in that position, I would have stopped the puck. And I'm not physically that fit. I haven't really played too much goalie in some years. I used to play all the time. And it's just an amateur mistake that I don't think he should have made. He definitely should have stopped that puck. The second goal he let in was a big, juicy rebound, which can happen. That's not entirely his fault. It was a big rebound, and maybe he could have done something to try to make it not so bad, but, that's more forgivable. So there's that, but also Nashville wasn't getting it at the back of the net in Game 2. One goal is not going to do against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and particularly how well they've been playing. in some ways they've not been playing too well, but mostly they're playing well, they're being successful, and they're making their shots count. And at the bottom end of the day, that's what's important, is making your shots count and not letting in goals. So maybe you're not rallying as many points, maybe you're not actually playing so well, maybe it's just blind luck, but at the end of the day, if you got what you were supposed to done, then you did what you were supposed to do. I mean, having Ryan Johansson out of the lineup, I think that is a significant blow. But as I have said before in this video and in other videos, there are other players in minor leagues that are just as good as the players that are in the league. I was referring to Sidney Crosby earlier, but now I'm talking about all players. The Nashville Predators, they have someone in their organization equally as good as Ryan Johansson. If not better. Probably not better, but, you know, equally as good, I would say. And he doesn't have the National Hockey League propaganda machine and all the money that comes with it behind that particular player. So he will not have the opportunity to be successful in this playoff series, and maybe not in the rest of his entire career. Just people don't understand that the Hockey League is a very evil organization, in the sense that a lot of broken dreams, a lot of shattered memories, a lot of heartache, and two really good, decent hockey players that just love the sport. And they were ruined because it was a highly competitive industry, and you know, some hockey players are nicer than others. Some are total assholes, some are pricks, some are nice guys, some of them, you know, it's not necessarily all about themselves, but they'll walk over your dead body to get what they want. And that's pretty much the nature of any business, especially when you're talking about the kind of money that gets put into these things. I don't like that it's bent. At times it doesn't seem like it's that, but you watch some clips and you go, whoa, how did they fake that? Like, how is that possible? That looked real to me. But there are other times where it looks blatantly fake. I remember one playoff series where Chicago was playing against Vancouver, and Willie Mitchell gave up the puck to Martin Havlat, and that led to the game-tying goal, and then Chicago won afterwards. Totally fake. No doubt about it. Like, even me, out of shape, and half drunk all the time, if I were in my state, in Willie Mitchell's position at that point, Martin Havlat wouldn't have got the puck. And I'm no skilled hockey player. But somehow he got that hockey puck from a professional National Hockey League defenseman. Completely fake. I mean, that is a huge blunder, and throughout the course of NHL history, it's really, you know, a very small thing as far as defenseman blunders. Like, oh God, have there been some real bad ones. They downplay them big time on YouTube, but like a lot of people hold Bobby Orr in high esteem, and in his own way he is good, and you know, I respect him and all that, but he was a terrible defenseman. As someone on the back end, he just like could not get the job done. Sure, he scored a lot of goals. I don't know why he was a defenseman. He should have been a forward, but he had no defensive capabilities at all. Like, I've seen him just mess up so bad, and people just tend to overlook that. Now, look, that side of the story. Getting back to you know, the people I've had discussions with on forums, and who I've run on public transit and things like that, because more hockey fans are starting to creep out of the woodwork, and they're not necessarily you know, Nashville, Vancouver, or Pittsburgh fans. They're just hockey enthusiasts in general. some of them get, you know, really protective about the one team that they've chosen to be theirs, which is not always necessarily where they were born or have ever been to, but they feel as though you should just pick one team, stick to that, and that's that. Like, I ran into this ogre on a bus who was a Boston Bruins fan. He had a Boston Bruins hat and a Boston Bruin tattoo on the back of his leg. He had long greasy hair, an unkempt beard, and he looked like a big fat pig. And he looked like you could easily get in an argument with him if at a game if there was a few drinks involved. Like, you can't rationalize with people like that. He was a total fucking idiot, and I mean, if he took a swing at me, believe me, I would have seen it coming, and he would have soon regretted it. I'm not afraid of guys like that. You know, despite how I look, I'm actually a lot more talented in self-defense than a lot of people think. But you're entitled to your opinion. Hopefully we never cross paths. Yeah, so he was like, no, you're only supposed to be one team. You can't be a bandwagon jumper. No, it's not being a bandwagon jumper by having more than one team that you like. In fact, it's a commitment to the sport. Sure, ideally, if you're born in a city that has a hockey team, you want to root for that team, and I do. I have 6 Vancouver jerseys, 5 Canuck jerseys, and 1 Millionaire jersey. You know, so it was six Vancouver jerseys, and I don't even have them all. There's 1 or 2 more that I would like to get, but you know, I'm gonna have to wait on a side project. I'm still reeling from my vacation to San Francisco, so it's gonna have to wait for a little while. Yeah, and one of the forums I went on, oh god, people are so stupid. Like, I was really honestly hoping that they were just pretending to be stupid, and that they were trying to formulate, you know, arguments because they think you're stupid, and they feel if they talk stupid to you, that somehow their stupidity will grow on you, and therefore they have the upper hand. I don't like talking to people like they're stupid. So even if someone is stupid, especially on the internet, I try to give them the chance to formulate an intelligent argument, because I believe I'm smarter in the sense that I don't need my opponent to be stupid or dumber than me for me to win the argument against them. I think I can formulate an argument against another intellectual and still win. I don't want to, you know, just obsessively compulsively push down a stupid agenda, and that's how I win the argument. Because to me, people who do that are idiots in themselves. They don't have confidence in their own intelligence, and they just want to be, well, basically a big ass who wants to snuff out any opposition, and the easiest way to do it is just to overwhelm them. Yeah, so that's the kind of conversations I've been having on Facebook. I've made many points about why I don't like certain things, and sometimes it swears off topic, because they'll go on my Facebook channel and they'll notice how things like a guy had made a point about Donald Trump, because I was wearing a Donald Trump hat and a Detroit Red Wings jersey in one of my pictures, and they're like, oh, you're a Trump supporter, you must be a douche. And I was just like, yeah, maybe I was wrong about liking Donald Trump. I'm sure having a lesbian in office would be much better for me. You know, that's just what I wanted, you know, for me to have my balls busted in for the minimum of another 4 years. That's what I wanted, you know. That would be a lot better. Fucking idiot. I don't think having someone like Hillary Clinton would have been good for hockey. A lot of people go, well, she doesn't have anything to do with hockey. Well, maybe not, but necessarily, we don't really know, but all presidents have a hand in homeland propaganda, and part of that is the entertainment industry, which includes sports. And honestly, I don't think Hillary Clinton would have been very supportive of certain hockey ways. Like in particular, a lot of people want to get rid of enforcers. I think they're there for a reason. I don't think they should have to leave necessarily. The occasional fight should be allowed. They shouldn't have to fight so often that they're really hurting themselves, but you know, the occasional fight, and they could be a little fake in the sense that the fighters aren't really trying to cause grievous bodily harm when they do it. It's for entertainment. It's part of the game, and I don't think it should be taken away. There have been a lot of bad instances, and young people entering the sport may not have a proper grasp of what being an enforcer is. So I am in full support of the minor leagues forbidding fighting and body checking, because the youngsters just ain't ready for that kind of hockey, and they should be trained to use their skill, technique, and their speed, and their ability to play hockey rather than the nitty-gritty part of it, at least until they get a bit older and have a better understanding of things. But what I'm noticing in this whole atmosphere of hockey is that there's this kind of obsessive-compulsive, people want to keep other hockey players dumbed down so hard, and if you do formulate intelligent opinions, all you're gonna get is people calling you stupid or dumb or picking something and using that as an example of why you're stupid. And like, I've argued with people, and like, they came up with a particular insult and they repeatedly used it, and it was a baseless insult to have used. Didn't really apply to me, and he just kept using it, and I went, you're not actually winning the argument here. You're just not worth my time, really. I ended up leaving that forum because I went, this is just a sign of things to come, that I'm not actually going to get any intelligent arguments out of these people. So right now I am wearing a Nashville Predators jersey pretty much every day. Right now, because I'm at home, I'm wearing my Vancouver Canucks jersey. I've got my fin mask, and yeah. But when I go outside, I've been wearing my Nashville Predators jersey. I have 2 Pittsburgh jerseys, not a current one. I had one from a couple years ago with the kind of beigey yellow here, and it's similar to the one they have now, but a little bit different. I got Latang put on the back of that. That's actually in one of my videos. I've also got the Penguins jersey where it's just the penguin, not the hockey stick and the skates. A Coho jersey. I like it. Could be fake, but I still like it. A little too delicate to put a name on it, so I don't think I'm going to do that. So, I mean, theoretically, I could flip-flop if Nashville, loses the series. I'm not going to do that, though. I'll continue to wear the Nashville Predators jersey should they advance and get to the Stanley Cup ceremony where they're hoisting the cup. I will continue to wear the Nashville jersey every now and then, but I won't wear Pittsburgh for a while. I made the joke, look, I could flip-flop anytime I want to do, because I do have Penguins jerseys, but I'm not actually going to do that regardless of what happens. Before this series, I voted for the underdog, and I didn't think Nashville had much of a chance, but I think they played better than a lot of people think, and they have been successful in some ways, and I don't know, who knows, things can turn. Because until it's said and done, you don't know. It doesn't look good for them right now, but that is still to be decided. Actually, to be honest with you, I want the Stanley Cup final to be over. Not as quickly as possible, but I want the series to be decided, because part of my shtick, part of the thing I do, is wear different hockey jerseys all the time. I know you may go, well, oh come on man, Nashville's only been, big in these playoffs for a little while. They've only just made it to the Stanley Cup final just a few days ago. Can't you handle wearing a jersey for, more than a week or two? Which is true, but I like mixing it up and wearing other jerseys. I mean, this jersey, I had it sitting in my closet for about a year before I wore it. And a while before that as well. And to be honest with you, this jersey is in somewhat rough condition. It's a little tattered on the bottom and things like that, but I didn't actually wear it that much. And actually, funny story, as I was moving from my old house, I had jerseys. There was a Pavel Bure jersey that was my brother's. Really kicking myself that I didn't take it, but it wasn't my jersey, and it was just the circumstances. I should have taken it, but I didn't. He didn't want it taken for whatever reason, because he's an idiot. And I guess I'm an idiot too for allowing it to happen. But I had this jersey. I had the Pittsburgh jersey I was talking to you about, the one with the penguin with the out the stick and the skates, and I had a bunch of Thunderbird jerseys. Now what had happened was I said, I'm keeping my jerseys, and at this point my house is in shambles. Like, everything's in orange plastic bags, and everything's just everywhere. And my brothers and my dad put those bags down like next to 50 other bags. So I'm like, I told you I wanted to save this, what the fuck are you doing? And I had to go dig around for I found this jersey, and I found the Penguins jersey, and oh yeah, and I also had the Florida Panthers jersey at the time, the authentic Florida Panthers jersey, but I couldn't find my Thunderbird jerseys. I mean, they obviously wouldn't fit now, but that was part of the my growing up, and part of my past I would rather have kept. They weren't quality jerseys, but it's too bad, but that's just what happened. Really pissed off about the Pavel jersey though, Pavel Bure jersey, because minimum that's going to be $150 if I get it on a deal to buy another one. I probably won't get it that cheap. I mean, my guys at my jersey shops, they want $250 for one. So I'm not got that kind of money right now. Like, if I'm going to spend $250 on a Pavel Bure jersey, actually, to be honest with you, I'd rather get a 1999 away Brett Hull jersey from Dallas, which is the green one, because that is an awesome jersey. Although you gotta order it online, and I don't know, man, I've been ordering stuff online lately and not been getting them. I still ain't got my computer, so that's still a problem. Anyway, getting back to the NHL and the current playoff series, I think that Nashville's going to win today. It would be amazing if they win the series, but I don't know. I think Pittsburgh and Sidney Crosby in particular have too much money behind them, and it's just going to go their way. I don't want to sound like a defeatist or like I've just given up, because I haven't, but I have my doubts. And it's not because they're down 2-0, it's because the backdoor politics of the National Hockey League. Remember, this is entertainment, and entertainment has always known to be fraudulent. And anyone who thinks it's otherwise is an idiot. I don't care if you've been watching hockey all your life and you sit in front of the TV and watch every game or most games, you're still stupid. If you honestly believe that they're being sincere, they're telling you the truth, they're keeping you well informed, you're in the loop because you're a fan, all that's bogus. And one more thing, I wanted to add that being loyal to one hockey club, even if it's the fact that it's your home city, whatever, think about it. What do you get out of them winning the Stanley Cup other than the supposed honor of your team winning a Stanley Cup? Because that is the big deal in the hockey fan world. Has your team won a Stanley Cup or not? And the loyalty to your team. I have 6 Vancouver Canucks, as I said. So these people go, oh, you're a flip-flopper, you're a bandwagon jumper, you're a traitor. You're a fucking idiot. You got one jersey. That's your commitment to the NHL. And you sit there like a fucking goon zombie watching games here and then, and you don't question things. I think you're just an ignorant pig. I've shown my commitment to the sport, and I would watch more games if I had the opportunity, as it were. I'm at work too often. I make hockey a part of my life every day. I try to every day to make a bit of hockey a part of my life, but I'm not gonna fall into the simplistic narrative of the sport. Surely there has to be other intellectual hockey fans out there that aren't too far away from me that have reasonable opinions on things. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced that's true. Sometimes I think, well, maybe these people just are pig stupid. Maybe they don't have real good opinions, because I don't want to dedicate to just one team. I mean, Vancouver is my first team. If at the beginning of next year I could pick one team to win the Stanley Cup, it's obviously going to be Vancouver. But Vancouver as an organization has changed hands multiple times, and different coaches, different owners, different GMs, this, that, and the other, and they have done many things to piss me off over the years, as does any NHL team. And I'm a fan of hockey being good. I'm a fan of good hockey. And no team in the NHL always plays good hockey. They just don't. There'll never be a team that always plays good hockey. I mean, you get guys like Detroit Red Wings who had a 20-year spree of making the playoffs every year. Now they're in a bit more of a rebuild series because a lot of their good players are retired, getting older, like Henrik Zetterberg, and things have to change and regrow, and sometimes sometimes good teams go downhill, and Detroit most certainly went downhill this year. So, I mean, hockey is a vast topic to discuss. And you get all these normies who don't understand hockey and go, they just don't understand. They don't have the patience to understand. They don't have the comprehension to understand. And then you get hockey fans, and they can recite to you how many points are on this team, and how many points has this player got, every player that's in the lineup for any particular game, all these statistics and things like that. I don't think that makes you smart. I think that's you focusing your energy on a boring topic. Sure, it's nice to see that Mario Lemieux had 199 points one season. Yeah, I'd like to see him try that again. Not going to happen. But there's more to it than that in this game. And so you get a combination of people who don't know anything about hockey, and you get a combination of people know all the tiny, insignificant little details about the sport and are not in the loop and don't have intelligent opinions. I mean, I'm not going to say I am in the loop. I'm not going to say that I know exactly what's going on. But, through a little bit of detective work, you can kind of figure out what the mystery behind the propaganda of organized sport is and the underlying read between the lines messages. Well, I did say that was the last thing I was going to say, and then I kind of trailed off into different topics, but there's no name on the back of this jersey, and I thought about putting Finn on the back, but I've since changed my mind because the Finn mascot doesn't actually have a name on the back of his jersey from what I've seen. And, I'm not actually convinced I like the Finn mascot. Sorry, I just don't particularly like him. I don't really like the Orca jersey, as I mentioned. So I think I'm going to put Trevor Linden on the back of this jersey. Oh, and let's bring back another topic too. Trevor Linden, sure he's a real nice guy. I'm sure he is. Obviously he's a businessman now, and he's not necessarily a hockey player. He's a businessman. Another argument I wanted to make was rooting for one team. What does it get you? Like, are they going to send you a check when they win? That's one thing. The other thing is, say you run into a hockey player. Like, you know all their faces, you know for a solid fact that is whoever it is you saw. How do you suppose they're going to react to you? They're going to want minimal contact. They're going to want to avoid you. They could be nice guys, they could be assholes, they could be jerks, they could be whatever, but odds are they're going to want to avoid you. Have minimal contact and just sort of disappear. You can't really blame them for that because of the sport they're in. They don't want to, like a flash mob or anything like that for sure, where, anything could happen. But the fact of the matter is, you run into these people you're supposed to idolize playing hockey, and they don't even want to know you. They don't want anything to do with you. And that will include guys like Trevor Linden. They have a way of, if you see them and they've noticed that you've seen them, they kind of just disappear. They kind of fade away, and they're real good at doing that. I've seen them. They're slinky. All of them. Whether it was Roberto Luongo, Trevor Linden, Louis Eriksson. There's some players that are truly unique in how they look, so there's no getting around it. If you see them, you've seen them. But there are other ones, lesser known players on the team, and a lot of average folk won't recognize them. But I mean, everyone knows who Henrik and Daniel Sedin look like in Vancouver. And especially when Burrows got traded, everyone knew what Burrows looked like. Even if you've been living under a rock, you would still know what they look like. So it's a little bit harder for them. Hard for them to live a normal life, but you go, well, how much do they do for people? I don't know if I've mentioned this in another video or not, I can't remember. I don't think I have. But I ran into someone who met Trevor Linden. He didn't have any proof that he'd met him, but I believed him. I was wearing my Trevor Linden jersey, a black one, of course, the best one. And he comes up to me and he's like, yeah, man, I met Trevor Linden. He was a real nice guy. This was after my mother and my daughter, or something like that, had died in a car accident. And the guy was homeless, right? But he said it with sincerity, and he just seemed like he was telling the truth. And I felt real bad. And he told me an expression that not everyone knows, And to be honest with you, I forget entirely what it means. But, oh yeah, now I remember what it means. Yeah, I remember what it means. But I'm not going to mention it here on this video because, not because I give a rat's ass what Trevor Linden thinks. Not because I give a rat's ass what the NHL thinks. Not because of any of that. But because what it appeared to me is that's all this poor individual got out of it. Was maybe a handshake from Trevor Linden, I don't know. He got told some secret code, and that's all he got, because I saw him a week later and he was on the street sleeping with one of his socks hanging off, dressed in poor man's clothes. So, I mean, Trevor Linden coming down going, I feel your pain, blah blah blah, and then Trevor Linden goes off. That didn't really help that guy too much. I mean, obviously there are a lot of horrible stories that happen to people in not just Vancouver but everywhere, so hockey players cannot devote their time to helping these people in any significant form or fashion. They're probably not even contractually obligated to, probably not allowed to, even if they wanted to. I mean, they also have their own self-interest in mind as well. I mean, you obviously don't want to spend all your time in the gutter helping people out like that. That's not what your job is. Your job is to build a good hockey team, be a good hockey player, and do that. But it really appeared to me that this guy lost his family, and he only got to meet Trevor Linden for what it sounded like once. The world doesn't reward or really give a proper helping hand to the misfortunate. It's the people who are pricks who get things done. And Sidney Crosby is a prick, so he's going to get things done. I don't know what kind of charity work he does or any of that kind of stuff. I'm sure most hockey players do some shape or form of charity work at this point. And that doesn't necessarily make you a nice guy. It could make you shallow, it could make you phony. I'm not saying Trevor Linden is those things, but I'm saying, and I'm not saying he should have to help more than he is, but, that should be taken into consideration when formulating an opinion about someone. To be honest with you, if I were in a higher standing position in society, I would be a prick. It's about me, and I would put a blind eye to the problems of others, because I've had to deal with my own hardships, and a lot of hockey players have. A lot of hockey players have had a real rough time, and it's been very difficult for them to get to where they are, and they don't have the emotional, intellectual energy to spend it in any other way or shape or form. That being said, there are also hockey players like Sidney Crosby who got into the NHL because they had rich parents or something like that who worked in hockey over the years, and they had a little push, a little helping hand, and that is why they were successful. And the problem with that is, I mean, obviously, as one grows up and has their own kids, and then they enter the sport, if they were a hockey player, they want their son to enter hockey as well, like Ty Domi and Max Domi. Ty Domi totally gave the hand, pulled him up and got Max Domi into the NHL. I don't know about him winning a Stanley Cup or being an impact player or anything like that, but you never know. And most hockey players are going to pursue this. And the problem with that is, in the future, this will be more into consideration, and these players will completely corner the market. I mean, each team only has X amount of players in their main organization. So that means a lot of people get left out. And if places are reserved for the children of hockey players, then that puts everyone else trying to get in at a distinct disadvantage. And unless they're 1 in a million, they're just never going to get in. And even having money might not necessarily get you in unless you have a completely preposterous amount of it. Because it's an old Italian thing where they're like, oh, you need respect too. I mean, the Italians do disrespectful things, but it's all about respect. I was never a fan of The Godfather or any of those types of movies, man, but like, the fucking NHL is an organized gang. That's what it is. Anyway, I've talked quite a bit. And the problem is when I do that, when I make videos, it's kind of hard to keep my audience watching the whole time. I find it difficult to watch long videos, even if I find them very good and well made. As it were, I do have fans that have watched even the longest videos I've made. Took them a little while, but they did eventually get around to it. So, anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Go Nashville. Talk to you guys later.